It could be.
It could be. I think it is. I think if they're diced in a certain way, then it's the secret. It is the secret, in my estimation.
It's a culinary delight.
Well, you know. Interesting one. Interesting one. Customer comes in this week and rents Jeepers Creepers.
Oh.
Okay.
Controversial.
Yeah, but is it my moral obligation to inform them of any salacious and nefarious issues,
past indiscretions
that plague that film? Is it my responsibility as a curator of an archive?
I don't know, actually. This is where I'm like thinking, who's watching?
Well, yeah.
Yeah. And I don't personally think so. Well, I don't know. Was this a 12-year-old?
Well, Jesus. No, it wasn't. No.
Oh, good.
No, it was an adult. But that's the thing, you see. If I tell them, explain, oh, well, you know, are you sure you want to rent a film that's directed by a convicted, paedophile?
Yeah.
Then obviously they're not going to rent it.
Yeah. Of course.
So, because they would feel rather intimidated by
100%.
by going against that and renting it and saying, "Oh, I don't mind."
Okay, exactly. Yeah.
You know,
anything goes in this shop.
Who would say that? So by me saying that, it will automatically put them on the defensive and then say, "Oh, okay, right, I'm not going to rent it."
Wow. Yeah. This is a difficult one, isn't it? Because this transcends so many films, and it transcends film history.
It does, because I mean, there was a special Blu-ray of Jeepers Creepers out about 3 years ago, and I posted that I bought it on Twitter.
Oh, yeah?
And this guy really gave me a hard time over it and said, "You know, why are you flaunting this film on Twitter?" And I'm like, well, it's kind of like the business. That's what I do.
Yeah.
You know, I bought a film, and it's an archive, because I think to myself, obviously what Salva did was a horrific crime that cannot be softened and diluted in any way. But where'd you stop with that? It's like, I was on the phone. This is a true story. I was on the phone to one of Salva's best friends.
Really?
Really?
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Right.
No, I didn't phone him for that reason.
Yeah.
This was very much by the by. It was researching a different project.
Right. And this was another 12-year-old?
Yeah, very good, very good. I was on the phone to one of Salva's best friends. And we'd finished the conversation about the film I was documenting.
I see.
And for some reason, the conversation got onto the subject of Victor Salva.
Of course.
And it was a really awkward conversation, because this guy said, and I quote, he shouldn't have done what he did.
Yeah.
That's fine, yeah. But at the same time, the boy was very promiscuous.
Well, that's okay then.
I'm thinking, hang on, I mean, this is a 12-year-old kid. How can a 12-year-old kid be promiscuous? This is a kid that Salva started grooming at the age of 6, when he was working in a daycare centre. So how can this guy... And now this guy that I was on the phone to is a reputable filmmaker.
Right.
He's a cinematographer that's done over 100 films. I'm not going to name him.
Okay.
He's directed countless movies as well. So he, in effect, is saying, well, Salva was set up by this kid. So, he's kind of justifying a paedophile's behaviour. So should we say, well, actually, I don't think I should stock any of his films either. And then we move on to Coppola.
Well, I was just going to say...
And then we think about Coppola. We think, well, hang on. Coppola's the guy who visits him in jail.
Yeah.
Who gives him a wad of cash when he gets out of jail.
He did. Yeah, that's right.
Who finishes Clown House for him on his behalf.
Yeah.
And then who pays him a sum of money to make Jeepers Creepers, and pays for his
legal
legal team.
They helped his legal case as well.
Yeah, so you think, well, Coppola's a kind of comes out of this looking like a paedophile enabler or apologist.
That's right, yeah.
And you think, well, do you then push back on Coppola? Because Coppola's new film, that the trailer premiered recently. And everyone just lost their minds over it and said, wow, this is amazing. It's amazing to have this guy back and all this kind of thing.
Yeah, isn't that weird?
And that's fair enough, because he's a great filmmaker.
Yeah,
but
obviously.
Should you look at this aspect and think, ooh.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a God, this is such a...
dense, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, yeah. And it's so contentious. Because, you know, at the end of the day, there is... You know, there are innocent people involved, and, you know, we watch films and I guess draw a blind eye to that to a certain degree, because one of the things that we're not thinking about is let me just check the credentials of this person, and have they ever done a crime, and have they ever been involved in anything, you know, salacious that I need to know about before I watch this, and I guess that's where there's almost a separation between the art and the artist. I mean, I think I've said this before, haven't I? I said, you know...
But is that just a cliche, or should we actually separate the art from the artist?
Well, I think we do.
Right, unconsciously.
Yeah.
Right.
I think we do. As I say, we're not making a conscious effort to... Well, I don't know, things might change in about 10 or 20 years' time when, you know, if, you know, after Harvey Weinstein and all that kind of stuff, when all that... you know, unravels. You know, you got stuff that's going on now with P. Diddy as well. You know, which is just where you just like think, my God, where does this end? And but of course, you know, you've got to stay subjective in a way. You know, you've got to say, well, hold on, well, how much of this is true, and how much has been ramped up by, or on the other side of the scale, how much has been covered up? You know, you never know. So I think we almost do, but I don't. Yeah, as I say, you know, I don't think art stops because all of a sudden, you know, there's a big question mark over the people that have been involved in it. However, that being said, because get my words out. Harvey Weinstein, his name is behind so many films. Yeah. And probably many that have been taken out these doors in the last month.
I mean, Clerks. Did he put Clerks out on DVD, Miramax? I'm sure he did.
Did he?
And Mallrats, and I know he had a long association with Kevin Smith. Who's
of course he did,
one of our favourite filmmakers.
That's right, yeah, exactly.
So do you sort of tar Kevin Smith? Because listening to an interview with Kevin Smith, and he was saying, well, we all kind of knew that but you just presumed he was just, it's Harvey being Harvey.
Grim,
it is grim. But you think, well, do you kind of allow that level of naivety? Do you permit that naivety and say, well, yeah, you can understand, because we've never been in that situation?
Well, I mean, it's funny because I was watching this compilation montage, if you like, on YouTube or something. It popped up on social media, and it was post Harvey Weinstein and his conviction, and it was Gwyneth Paltrow and all these actors and actresses. All standing on stage, accepting their awards, saying, I just want to thank my guru and my mentor, Harvey Weinstein. Without you, I couldn't have done this. Now, they knew. They knew. But, of course, they also knew... This sounds terrible, I know. God. Okay. They also knew... It's a really bad phrase, but which side their bread was buttered on, because they thought, I've got to say this. They know they had to say this, because if they don't say it, then they're out of the film industry. Also, if you had any words against Harvey Weinstein, he was such a powerful figure. What are your chances of... So,
I think people did go against him, didn't they?
Well,
to a degree, and they never worked again.
And this is what I mean. So, that's the... People are playing with their own careers at the age of like 30 and 40 years old, and they're thinking, well, you know, I've kind of got like the rest of my career. You know, I wanted to be an actor in my 60s, 70s. You know, do I want to just like... Look what happened to Corey Feldman.
Of course.
So, Corey Feldman, there's a lot of public videos out there. If anyone hasn't seen them, just like go and have a look. And he was... And I guess he was scarred because Corey Haim was his best friend. Starred in loads of films with him, like Lost Boys, etc. And he was scarred by that because Corey Haim allegedly turned to drugs, had a massive problem with alcoholism, drug abuse, etc. On account of, according to Feldman, the fact that he'd been abused in this kind of very paedophilic sort of regime, if you like, and groomed at a very, very early age. And Corey Feldman, and this is not conjecture either, this is straight from Corey Feldman's mouth, he said, I was abused, I was raped, and I know the people that did it. And I went to the police, and the police wouldn't do anything about it. Now, he came out very, very vocally about that a long time ago, and he's not worked since, barely. You know, I mean, that guy can't get a gig. So there's controversially, there is a real sort of... There's a Corey Feldman.
Yeah.
There's a real cloak of anonymity in this game, and who knows, you know, I mean, I know obviously you had the Me Too movement, and then all of a sudden you had the Harvey Weinstein, and then all of a sudden you had this person, that person, you know, and who knows what's going to come out, but because there is I believe there's a lot of it.
Oh, there is. Yeah, it's like the X-Men guy. There was a film made of alleging, you know, the director, he did Apt Pupil, and things happened on the set of Apt Pupil that weren't.
Did he?
Yeah, Brian Singer. There was stuff alleged against him.
That, yeah.
I'll send you a link for the video, but it was a horrific video to say. It was this like grooming club of men that just it was absolutely grim. But it's allegations, and of course Singer had an element of power, so he was able to stop parts of that being broadcast, and the guy was still working up until recently, and you've got all these allegations coming in, and there are more allegations on him than a lot of people, but still, Hollywood has a lot of power, isn't it?
It does, and it's and you know, this is going to happen to your favourite filmmakers and film stars and things like that. You know, I mean, there was even an instance. Was it 2017, 18-ish or something with Dustin Hoffman?
Oh, of course, that's right.
And, you know, Dustin Hoffman, everybody loves Dustin Hoffman, you know, and then all of a sudden it comes out, and of course he was very sort of like, oh, God, I don't know how long ago this was, but apparently the girl was 17.
Right.
And he said, I feel absolutely awful, I would have put somebody in that, you know, precarious position, you know, very, very apologetic and all that kind of stuff. And who was the other one that was, there was another guy, and it was settled out of court, Cuba Gooding Jr.
Oh, right, okay.
That was settled out of court.
Oh, was it?
Because I think she didn't want to be doxxed. She didn't want a name to be out there.
Right.
So he was accused of going into a hotel room or something and undressing, and actually the R word was used. Actually raping her.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now that never saw court because he settled out of court.
I see.
So then all of a sudden you go, okay, well, I'm not going to watch that, and I'm not going to watch this, and he's been in that. Oh God, you know. And
I mean, gradually, I mean, you could come in here tomorrow and you'd see like empty shelves and video stuff.
I know, yeah, exactly. Where do you go? Well, and it's art, isn't it? I'm not saying the shitty things that go on behind the scenes. That's not art. It's absolutely abhorrent. However, I think I've made the analogy before, either to you or to another friend, where I said, you know, if it came out in the press that Leonardo da Vinci was, you know, a little bit of a player, do you stop going to the art gallery to see his work? You know, and that's and I mean, do you? I don't know. I mean, there's plenty of questionable people in the art scene, you know, that dates back centuries, but I'm not sure, because if I'm honest, I've watched Jeepers Creepers since I found out about Victor Salvo. I have. And of course, there's a lot of people that don't like, whether it's legal or not, they don't like what Woody Allen did. And you've got a huge Woody Allen section there, and I have to say, I friggin' love it. I love his films. I absolutely adore his films. You know, I mean, it again never went to court, or did it? It did go to court, but it was kind of said. I think the words were deeply inappropriate.
Yeah, it didn't look
however,
good,
but in the grand scheme of things, it was two people that actually really loved each other, and the rest is history. And there was the Mia Farrow stuff, but I think she's a little bit that's my opinion. She could be a little bit unhinged, and she seemed to be very, very, I don't know, seemed like she had the knives out for Woody Allen.
It's like someone rented Pay It Forward recently.
Oh, right, okay, yeah.
It's one of those where normally I don't mention anything, but this guy brought up Pay It Forward. I'm like, oh, Kevin Spacey, are we allowed to watch Kevin Spacey films now?
Exactly, I know, yeah, exactly.
And it's like, well, yeah, I mean, he got off in this country, obviously, and
in more ways than one.
Indeed, yeah. Thank you. And there's a few people in America.
This episode's going to get dinged. We won't get this out.
there's a few people in America, obviously, who haven't, well, yeah, they're not around anymore.
It's pure coincidence.
Pure coincidence.
Pure coincidence, yeah.
But
everybody dies in their 20s.
But nothing is sticking. I mean, there was a Channel 4 program last week with more allegations.
Was there? Oh, right.
Yeah,
Okay,
I mean, things that it doesn't look good for Spacey, and he's obviously not going to work again.
Yeah.
But Usual Suspects, what you do? It's starring Kevin Spacey, directed by Bryan Singer. Oh, geez.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Double hitter.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
But what do you do? Do you just stop recommending it? Just stop people, you take it off the shelf?
There's a great little independent film there as well, because we always talk about films when we're sat here and stuff like that, but like Swimming with Sharks, where he plays the main with, what's his name? Played Robbie Krieger in the Doors movie. Frank Whaley.
Yeah.
That's a knockout film. Oh my god!
I mean, film.
Yeah, I know it's absolutely. So that was going to be my next question. So the likes of The Usual Suspects is probably a good one because it's is a good one to use as an example because it's so popular, everybody knows it. Surely people have been in and asked for, hey, have you got Usual Suspects, or have you got Swimming with Sharks, or whatever the case may be. And you just answered that because you said about Victor Salvo and Jeepers Creepers.
I've got Clown House. I've got Clown House.
Did someone? Oh, has that rented recently?
Well, someone rented it, yeah.
All right. Okay.
And you think, I mean, that's the stuff that happened on the set of that film. Is just absolutely gross.
I know.
But I've got the film, and you are constantly, as just in the mind of, well, is that appropriate to stock that film? But then, you kind of owe it to people to be an archive of stuff. So if people want to see something, it's there for them to make their own conscious decision.
Yeah, you can't.
I think it's something that's evolving over time, continually. The films are dipping in and out of this very dubious category. You can't have
a list of prerequisites. When somebody rents a film, so like for example, A, how old are you? B, do you know the history behind this? C, what's the reason why you're watching it? Is it because you're a fan of The Convicted, or is it just because you're a fan of film? You'd like to think it's because of the latter, and that's the reason why they're doing it. So do you stop people from enjoying something which has been made? I don't know, maybe people in the comments will tell us, but maybe we're, I don't know, it's a controversial.
It is. It's one of those things whereby there's also the aspect where you got 200, 300 people working on the film who are all people of perfect, ideal character.
Yeah.
And are you punishing their work by taking the crimes of one individual and removing it from circulation? So it's a really tricky one, to be honest.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. All I know is it's very, it's uncomfortable to rent certain films out, knowing, like Polanski, we haven't mentioned Polanski, and you think, well, what do you do? I mean, Polanski, if he sets foot in America, gets arrested. But still, his new film, I think it premiered at Cannes.
And he's still churning out films.
It's like Woody's new film, which was filmed in Paris, is being some terrific reviews on that. And it is such a dubious thing. And you think of other people, again, I won't name names, but, of course, there's the famous Oscar-winning screenwriter who unfortunately had a DUI, and I think someone was. I think they were killed as a result of it. There's another screenwriter who's written some great horror movies that was in a similar situation.
Yeah.
And you think, well, what do you do with their films, and how far do you go, and what is it? Where do you draw a line where a certain crime? I mean, there's an Oscar-winning actor who had a very well publicized marriage in the 80s, and he was fond of using his fists in that relationship, which is grim. I mean, that's such a low disgraceful thing to do, but that's kind of, no one mentions that now, and he's kind of a beloved actor who's gone on to some immense acclaim, and you think, well, But you'd rather, some crimes are all right now.
Yeah,
That's all right.
And which ones?
What did he do? He beat up his wife. Oh, that's okay. How long's
Yeah.
it been? 10 years. That's all right. That's
Yeah,
fine. We can forgive
sorry.
that.
Those
But
wounds
this
will
one-
have healed by now.
Well, yeah. I mean,
But of course, in most cases, they don't, and that's the thing. But I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, you're renting. Not you personally. One is, yeah, we are renting films. We're watching films. We're in whatever platform. Of like, you know, guys that are putting knives on the hands and like slashing people up and this
yeah.
and the other, and you know, that's what, you know, you kind of blur the boundaries, don't you? Of like, you know, I know you suspend disbelief when you're watching films and it's entertainment. The reality behind that is obviously a little bit more.
Oh yeah.
It's a bit more hard hitting because it's real life. It's not fiction. But at the end of the day, nobody seems to sort of scratch away at the surface and say, "Let me just can I find out about this actor and this director and this and the other?" But then that's up to them to do their own
Because
research.
we're in a very unique club of people, and that we're so far into our films that we do pick up on these little things. But that's a niche. That's probably 2% of film watchers.
Yeah,
Most
exactly.
film watchers are just watching films just for fun.
Exactly. I mean, well,
And
exactly.
they don't want to know.
No. All you know, like we were talking about those little girls, the young girls that come in and say, "What's scary?" You know, yeah. They want to watch things like Jeepers Creepers. They don't care who, they don't even know who Victor Salvo is, do they?
Yeah,
They just want to go and take something home that's scary and watch it, and you know, and like you say, yeah, probably is like around about the sort of 90 to 98% will just want to do it for that reason. You know,
And are we just overthinking this?
I think we could be overthinking it. I don't know.
It's nice to be a moral guardian where you know
It is.
we have a moral obligation to do certain things and hide certain things and remove certain things and do that. But I think, to be honest, are we getting with our station? Is that really our station in life?
I don't think
I'm not sure.
I'm pretty sure it's not our job to do that. I don't think I should be the pioneer of safe cinema.
So you say, oh yeah.
And go out there and start petitions saying, "Don't watch these films." You know, and I would never tell people what to and not what to watch. You know, what to watch and what not to watch. You know, at the end of the day, I watched the Human Centipede trilogy, so and whenever I tell people that, they go, "What?" They go, "Oh my god, that's disgusting." I'm like, "Well, you know, it's art." It was, you know, and the first one was actually really good.
No, it was.
Yeah. Whenever I mention that film to people, they just go, "What is wrong with you?" I'm like, "Do you mean what's wrong with me?"
No. We should probably just get back to chopping onions, to be honest.
I think we should get back to chopping onions.
And I was
yeah.
going to use red onions because I find that red onions are a lot better